One of the leading lights of the steampunk scene, photographer Gary Nicholls, will be at the London Comic Con this weekend. It coincides with commemorations for the 200th anniversary of Queen Victoria's birthday, and that's an exciting time in the steampunk world. Delighted to say that Gary is here to explain more. First of all, Gary, welcome.
Thank you very much.
Secondly, tell us what steampunk is.
It's a kind of science fiction version of Jules Verne, if you like, or so Victorian dress with gadgets. It's based on everything if you think of all the technology that we have now, but if you went back to Victorian times, everything's generated by steam, gadgets. It's quite creative. And
it encompasses film, television, photography, art, all of those things?
Absolutely everything. And in fact, there's only one rule to steampunk, and that is to be splendid. So basically, you are well-mannered and polite, and there are no rules. You can basically create anything you like.
Interesting. Tell us, as a photographer, how you got into this scene, because I was reading on your website, it wasn't until fairly late on. Tell us how.
I had a Photoshop magazine which showed you how to create a steampunk image. I thought, surely there's got to be people that do this for real. Googled it, found the Lincoln Steampunk Festival, which is now the world's largest festival in the old town of Lincoln. Went as a photographer, met a couple of people, thought this is a theme that I've been looking for maybe 6 pictures, and it's turned into a 450 image trilogy.
Yeah, and it's fine art photography that you do. What was it when you stumbled upon this scene almost what was it about it that you thought, this is what I've been looking for?
Fashion and gadgets.
Okay.
And those two things. I mean, the thing with Victorian dress, it makes you stand up a little bit taller. You feel much, I don't know, you feel good. And if you speak to everybody that's involved in steampunk, you do, that's exactly what it is. But again, it allows everybody to create their own costume.
And we're looking at some of your work now. They're amazing images. Are these all from your sort of compendium of images called the Imaginarium? Tell us a bit.
So this is, it's a trilogy. Basically, you could buy a 60-image art book. It would cost you £150, but it's just 60 pictures. And I thought, why can't that be a story? And so I started. The only person that's done that before, really, is Hogarth with Rake's Progress. So I thought, OK, let's start, you know, maybe 20 images. But then every time I see somebody in an amazing costume, a character forms in my head completely. I start thinking about their family, etc., and that builds that character. So the whole trilogy actually is about a secret that's in a box that you find out in the final book. But there are 150 genuine steampunks involved. That's my only rule, have to be a steampunk.
Sure.
And it's 42 characters that you follow through the whole story. So it's very dark, very complex. Murder, kidnapping, prostitution, all the best bits are in there.
Sure.
But it's Dickens style, but the theme that I chose and wanted was steampunk. Never heard of steampunk till I went to that event. And now, as you can see, I'm one of the many. And
you wear it well. Tell us about London Comic Con this weekend and how important the 200th anniversary of Queen Victoria is to that.
So obviously, a lot of the work that we do in terms of steampunk is also about education, because there's a lot around the industrial side of the Industrial Revolution, etc., that's associated with Queen Victoria. And she came to, her reign started at the start of steam and ended with locomotives, etc. The whole of her reign really pushed through the Industrial Revolution, and technology carried on advancing to where we are now. So we kind of educate all the people that come to the Steampunk Emporium, which is what the area is that we've got. They come and we explain all of that. My story is based on that. But also, one thing that where I differ to a photographer, I studied the way that Caravaggio and Vermeer create a luminescence in their images using light. That's what I do.
Some of the things that you're seeing
exactly, here. Something you see there. I mean, there's one image which is on the wall behind us, but that image, the street scene, that's actually 150 steampunks. And here we go. It's 150 steampunks, 37 buildings. It's actually 600 hours work putting that image together. But they're all real people. The story continues through that picture. So it's really quite, it's a complex
A lot of
tale.
work. Yeah.
It's also completely out of my head, which if you speak to a lot of people, that's exactly what they think I am. And in fact, the phrase that's been coined by one of the people in it, Donna, is Gary smokes Skittles.
Right. Just
know.
as a final question out of interest, where do you get the stuff, the clothing, the paraphernalia? Where do you get it?
Yeah, well, so a lot of people make their own.
Uh-huh.
I don't, because I'm not capable of that. Generally, a lot of people, but actually it's very, very eco-friendly steampunk, because loads of the clothes, gadgets, etc., are from recycled materials.
Of course.
So you're upcycling old clothes. So people go to charity shops, etc. And then the badges that I'm wearing, there are people that make those, and so on, and stopwatches, etc.
Brilliant. Listen, Gary, thank you so much for coming to speak to us. Gary Nicholls, The Imaginarium is your trilogy. Worth checking out. Amazing images. Gary, thank you.
Thanks very much.
You're watching Sky News. Let's have a quick look at the weather.